In the previous episode, we finally expanded to the upper level and added these two rotating vents, which are spinning due to these two windmills that we built inside this custom cave, which means we've got some basic power flowing in this area and we can thus start creating some farms. But like mentioning once or twice, I want to use this platform for the green area, which means we will be doing all the things like crop farms, tree farms, maybe even a kelp farm and all those type of things in this area we have right over here. And not all of them, but a lot of them need one very important block, and that is dirt. We need dirt. So with the limited supply of dirt that we brought from the overworld, I think we should build a dirt factory in this position right behind me. So we will be adding a factory that creates coarse dirt, normal dirt, and we might even chuck in some grass blocks in there just to make sure we've got all three of those covered. So let's get into it. So I think the general idea would be to place it in this area. Thus we have the power generation, we've got the dirt right next to it, and then we can start doing the farming areas in all of these areas around the center point over here. And with this being such a low little structure where the elevator is, and we can still add maybe a building on top of it, I was thinking that we should do production heading from this way to this way. What I mean by that is over here we'll start it also. This is where we'll create, say for example, coarse dirt, and then down here we'll place the coarse dirt. The coarse dirt then needs to go to a second area where we turn the coarse dirt into normal dirt, and then we need to do a harvesting area as well. I know we can do it all in one little simple contraption right over here, but my idea is that we do say one part over here, and once we place that coarse dirt, I want to move it over to an area that is seen as the plowing area or the transformation area, and once that's done we go to the harvest area or the collection area where we then mine that dirt and turn it into the dirt that we're going to use in this area. But I'm also going to make it in such a way that we won't have dirt not until we've got a full drawer for the first phase, which means we're going to take our limited amount of dirt and items, send it through the system, and we're first going to fill a primary dirt container, which will be 2048 blocks, which in turn will then continue to fill the system until we first fill our coarse dirt container. And after we fill our coarse dirt container, then only will we start filling dirt and receive dirt. And once the dirt is filled, only then will we start getting grass blocks. So in the end, the whole collection area I think needs to be over here. So let's just mark it out roughly. I don't want to go too close to this. It's 1 2 3 4 5. Yeah, that's about right. And we don't want to go too close over here, because that's barriers, so we're going to see that as barriers. So it's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. This should be fine. So we can do something like this. Let's just rip this out. That's wrong. And 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Yeah, let's do 8 9. So this is the building 9 wide, and then if this one's 9, I want to step this one back as well, so we can just have a bit of definition. And then this one also needs to have internal measurement of 9, because say for example we create a dirt platform that is this size. Let's just do 3 2 3 4 5. Yeah, let's do something like this. So let's say this is the dirt platform we have. This same platform needs to fit in this area as well. So again, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, and then we can do this like so. And again, our platform will be a bit tight over here. Okay, so we might bring this out maybe by 2. Like that. Yeah, because then our platform will sit over here, so we can rip out this and all of this. Let's bring this over like this. So our dirt platform will sit in this position, right? 3 in the middle, 3 in the middle over there. And then this will do something like this. There we go. So this will be then maybe our harvesting building. We'll have this area where we have the conversion, I almost want to say. And in this one, we can actually maybe go out even more. Like this. It's 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Yeah, let's maybe keep them all the same size. And then again, we'll just have this happening over here. Let's go into free cam. Yeah, I think that's good. I might actually even move it all up maybe to right over here. Yeah, I think so. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to move it up over to that area over there, and then I'm going to rip out some of this black stone so we have a clean, empty space to work with. And I'm also going to run the power from this little point over here because we've got it coming down over here. So I'm going to run it all along the wall through here, and I'll make sure it ends up in this area. So when we start building, we do have power to test and everything. So we've got everything dug out and we're kind of ready now to start building this whole structure, but we're not going to build the building first. No, first going to do the contraption. And I think the first thing we need to do is determine where platforms are going to be and so forth. So first of all, I want to build this whole structure on a foundation. The reason being for that is we're going to have quite a bit of redstone and timey bits and everything underneath it. So we need to go up, and to make this the ideal height, I would say we have to go up 5. Yeah, let's see. So we've got 1 already, and then it's 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 will be this level. That seems right. And then for the dirt itself, I think we're going to do 4. So, oops, that's a mistake. We'll do the dirt in this position. Yeah, so that's going to be dirt, and that's 4 levels from the ground, the 4th block from the ground, and that's 5. And then this will be the area where we will have coarse dirt placed. So right over here. So I think if we do 7 by 5, I keep on running into these netherrack blocks. Yeah, that seems fair. That's not... So it's going to be 7 wide and 5 deep. So every time we create, or this farm runs a cycle, it's going to take a platform of 7 by 5 and we'll first place our coarse dirt. Then it will move it over to this position right over here, where it will then turn it into normal dirt, and from normal dirt we'll go to harvesting. So I think what we're going to do is, for time being, we're just going to do the platforms so we know what we're working with and where everything's going to be. Okay, so we've got our 3 platforms, and now we know exactly where I want them to stop. And then the next thing is, I think we'll get away with doing 3 blocks. Yeah, we left 3 from the start, so I'm just going to fill this in with a platform, and we can modify this platform as we continue to build this contraption. But for now, I think this should do. This should be perfect for the back end of it, and we're not taking it all the way to the side. You'll see I'll leave a block open, but I think we can do this because over here we need to have ourselves a pulley system that's going to sit in that position. So something like that should be fine, and again, we just need to do this 2 more times. Okay, so now that we have our 3 platforms, we need to be able to move this platform from position 1 to position 2 to position 3. And we're going to do that using linear chassis. You'll notice I did not put any glue on these. That's because we're first just going to experiment with the timing, getting the moving of the things right, before we start gluing it on and making sure we can move the entire platform. So for now, this should be fine. We will have to, however, later on, remember, just... Nope, that's the wrong button. To just switch this and make it 5. Because we only wanted to pick up these 5 blocks. So the next thing we need to do is we're going to come down 1 space over here, and right underneath that we're going to place ourselves a gantry shaft, and this gantry shaft will be what transports the platform from the one position to the other side. So we're just going to do that for easy placement. Now we can run this along without worrying that it might slip to the other side, and then right over here we can see we're in the center again, and we'll do that. So very important with this system, we're going to have to give it power, but we also need to be able to stop it. So we'll put a clutch over here because we're going to have power feeding into this. So this will be constantly powered, meaning it will stand still. And then once we give it a signal, it will move on to the next spot, which will be right in this spot over here. It will continue doing those things every time it gets a signal. And once it reaches the end, it's going to finish gathering all of this. And once that's done, we're going to have to actually send it back that way. And I know we can just remove the rotation on that side and all of those type of things, but I want to try something different. I want to make it move this way at, say, a fixed speed of 32 RPM. I think that should be fine. But once it reaches this point, I want to actually send it back at twice the speed, which is then 64 RPM. So it will move across very slowly as we are making the product, but once it's done, I want it to zip all the way back. So yeah, two clutches. That's going to be an interesting little way of doing this. I'm then also going to go ahead and add some form of platform here. I know we've got platform down there, but I want to do a platform that is dedicated for all the circuitry and the timing in regards to this. So I don't know how big it's going to be. So for now, we're just going to fill this whole lower level, and we're going to do all the power and nitty-gritty bits on top of this. Now, the next thing we need to do is, you'll notice I did bring over power, and I'm going to actually... I think we should bring it in... Let me just check. I think we can bring it in over here. I think so. So let's rip this out, and then we can do in-case chain drives over here, and we'll send it that way. Before we continue, I would just like to mention that I've been recording the previous clip without the shaders on because I just want to get you guys' feedback in regards to the shaders. Look, I love playing with the shaders on, but I have had a comment or two where people say they can't really see what's happening. So I've been experimenting with brightening up the edit, or in this case now, doing it without shaders. And I have to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of this because it's very, very bright, but that is due to the Gamma mod. But let me know down in the comments, do you prefer it without the shaders or with the shaders? And then, yeah, while you're down there, while you're leaving a comment with your preference, also remember, why don't you just like and subscribe? I mean, it really helps out the channel a lot. But anyway, back to building. So we have the power hooked up, and you'll see it's spinning at 32 RPM. I do believe this will be enough for it to move quite smoothly. And you'll also notice that currently it's not moving that direction. That's because the gantry is pulling this way. And that's not a bad thing, but we do want it to flow that way, because you see, every time we trigger this clutch, we want it to move a set amount of blocks to this spot before moving to the next spot. So to do that, we're first of all going to put in a powered latch, and we're going to power it. That way it stops spinning. But then if we head on over here, we're going to take this rotational speed controller and we're going to reverse it. So now not only will it spin the opposite way, but when we give this a signal, it will move to that direction over there, which is perfect. So now we've got the sending part, or the sending part powered. Now we need to power the opposite side, and that side will be powered with the same power source but running at 32 RPM. So I think what we can do is, we dug out this little cavity behind here. I think we should just run this all the way along here until we reach the other side, and then just set up another rotational controller and allow that to power this clutch over here. Also note the drills over here are also going to run at 64, which is double the speed of that input. So it's going to be two birds, one stone. So maybe right over here, and then we can branch it from here. We can branch it that way and the other way. So let me get that quickly in. Okay, so I got the power in, and you'll notice it automatically went the wrong direction because it automatically pulled it. What we needed to do is, we actually needed to send it back that way. So if we reverse that polarity, then it should send back. So that is what we want. And just like the other side, we don't want it to happen all the time. We want it to happen whenever we trigger it. So again, coming out over here, I'm just going to add a little platform, and on this platform we will be adding all our little timings and everything. And this little clutch over here, we're going to power almost the same way as we did that one. So the main difference with this one, we're going to have a powered block over there, we're going to have ourselves a block over here, and then we're going to do a powered latch running into that, but we're not going to power it manually. We're going to power it via a redstone torch right over here, and that will freeze it. And the reason for that is, we need to be constantly on, but only ever turn off once we give it a signal that we'll place in this area, which now, by the looks of it, I hope I have enough space. I should be fine. But anyway, so that's why we were going to power this one this way. So now that we have these two in, we need to work out a system that will send this contraption, this linear chassis, over to here in the center and into the center again. So firstly, I'm going to work on that little timing switch, and we're going to do that with the use of some pulse repeaters, pulse extenders, just some good old redstone dust, and we're going to see if we can build a simple little clock. Okay, so we've got a little timing in, and over here we've just got our toggled latch. You'll notice I moved it out from over there because we did kind of run out of space. But then over here we've got a little circuit. So first of all, whenever this gets triggered, it will send a signal out, and it will trigger this little clutch. That will allow the contraption to run along its path. But 9 seconds later, and I'm hoping this will be enough, it will trigger a second time, flipping this power toggle latch back into the on position, stopping this contraption. So for now, I temporarily added this little place over here. So if we push this button, we have movement. And now the moment of truth, will it line up? No, it's a little too long. So 9 seconds is maybe just a little too long. So if we go 8, but now the thing is we first need to send it back. Let's first see what that does. Okay, let's try it again now. We click, it moves. Okay, so 8 works perfectly. So 8 seconds moved it from there to the next position. If we click it again, will it do the same? Will it stop in the right position over here? It does. Okay, so 8 seconds is perfect. We've got that part figured out. So every 8 seconds that will run and it will trigger and it will move everything over. Now we just need to figure out this timing. So basically it's going to work the same, with the one big difference. So I might have made a mistake or two. I might have paused my recording and never pushed unpause to show you what I did next. And I also moved this back because I miscounted the shape in front, or the space we had in front. So it can be in front, which is better because then it's not underneath the platform. But let me show what I did. So that works exactly the same. And on this side, then we have this contraption that will only power for 8 seconds. So this is the manual power if we manually have to do it. But over here, it's going to be exactly the same. We're going to say exactly 8 seconds because that's how long the pulse needs to be active and power this for the contraption to make its way all the way to the end. Over here, we're going to have ourselves a little pulse repeater on 11 seconds. And this pulse repeater is for the triggering mechanism that's going to trigger this harvesting system, but also all the other systems, because we needed to trigger that system over there that places the dirt and sends it along. So I hope this works. I hope it makes sense. It works in my head. So what we need to do is we need to actually have something right over here that triggers this. So we're going to have the input that triggers it, and it's going to trigger this entire system. So this is manual, ignore that, but this is the main triggerer. And I think the way we need to trigger it is by detecting dirt blocks. And the way we're going to do that is, well, via smart observers. So I think if we come down over here and we use the center block as our little trigger. So if we do that, that's the wrong way around. We want it to actually look up. We're going to tell it whenever it sees dirt, you see it turns on. That's perfect. It needs to send a signal somewhere. So now that we have that, we've got our receiving point, but we also have our transmitting point. Now we just need to give this a signal. And I think the best signal will be maybe drills. See, now it's sent because we didn't have any item over there, so it's fine, and we don't have anything in there, so it's perfect. So it reached that point and it ended, so it stopped now. So we know the sending back part of it works, but also we need to trigger it, so we use that same signal to actually send items off as well. So I think this will have to be the same again as well. Okay, but let's first figure out this part. Okay, so I gave those items over there a little input, and it's the drills. And for now, I just removed everything just to see, and I removed the other platforms that we don't need anymore. But now, let's say, for example, a piece of dirt right over there. It'll send a signal, but it'll also get drilled. And once that's drilled, after a set amount of time, this should trigger. Let's see. There it goes. It lasts for 8 seconds. And hopefully by the time the 8 seconds run out, it stops right over here. Okay, so we've got that part working. So we have a return system in place, and it's all done via this observer. Now, the only thing we need to trigger next is actually placing the dirt, because this dirt will be the next trigger. We basically want to tell this contraption, hey, listen, once this contraption returns, you need to place down some dirt. So let's do this, and I'm going to use this as a point later on, but first of all, let's get all the gantry systems in for the different contraptions over here. So the deployer system, the plow system, and the drill system. Okay, so we got all the secondary gantries in, and they're all pushed to the front, which means they're turning the right way, because what we want to do is once they get powered, they have to actually retract this way, and when the latches get unpowered, they move forward, and then they get powered again and they move backwards. So what that means is if we can maybe just squeeze through here, this one's going to be maybe a little bit tougher to do, but basically we want a little powered latch over there, and that's going to be powered constantly. That's going to be powered like so. And then we're going to make use of exactly the same concept that we have over here. We'll give it a signal, it will unpower, and after a few seconds, it will power again. So basically, we're going to do exactly the same system as we have in front. So we'll do something like that. We will do a pulse repeater, which will repeat the pulse. And I don't know how long, 4 seconds maybe? Because we'd only have it to have a need for it to go 5 blocks. Yeah, that should be fine. And then I think we're actually going to have to extend this. And then over here, we need to get a pulse repeater out again as well. Which, do I have another one? Let's just grab this one again. And this one will then also receive a signal. And the signal it will receive, well, you guessed it, drill and drill. So we're just going to shift right click. So that's receiving. So once that drill over there, there we go, that observer gets triggered, it will not only send a signal over there to return the system, but it will also trigger this system that will trigger the deployers. But we don't want the deployers to run off instantly. No, we need to wait a certain amount of time. So if we stand over here, we see this is going to take 11 seconds, 8, so maybe 20 seconds. So it gives it 2 more seconds than what is needed. No, 1 more second. Yeah, 20 seconds. 20 seconds should be fine. 19 or 20 should be fine. Let's start with 20. But then, oh, I just pushed a bunch of buttons. But now if we do this one at 20 seconds. Okay, we need it to come back. Okay, perfect. So let's quickly trigger this entire system. Let's say, for example, it ran across. It did this part. Ooh, sorry. It did a zoom there. Let's say it stopped over there. Then it will get sent along again, and now it's going to stop in this position. So let's quickly grab a block of dirt. Then the block of dirt gets placed and this gets triggered. So naturally this is going to get sent back, but if we head on over here real quick, we'll also see that this got powered. So that's going to go. So this thing returns, it stops, that gets sent over, and it gets sent back. Okay, so this entire system is working. So now the only thing we need to do is repeat this 2 more times. It's going to be a little bit different. So this one's naturally going to detect a coarse dirt block over there, and then it's going to trigger the next part, and so forth and so forth. So I think what I need to do is I should maybe get these little contraptions built, and then also get those timing systems in, and then we'll go over them once it's all in place. Okay, so I did a whole lot of timings and everything, and I'm going to try and explain it all. So first of all, we've got this contraption at the very end, the harvester. So like mentioned, we have the drill signal over here. So once that observer detects the blocks, we will get a signal over here. Approximately 40 ticks, that's 2 seconds. Then we will trigger a pulse that will allow this drill to run forward, harvest all the blocks, and then 7 seconds later it will trigger again, forcing all the drills to come back and stop in this position. My biggest fear with this is if this contraption runs out of dirt, it might harvest the linear chassis. So we might play with the timing, or we might add a system over there that will say, hey, listen, we don't have enough dirt blocks for you to harvest, so stop the entire contraption. Then second of all, on this side we've got one with 2 plows, and the double plow system we can activate as well. We first need to add a plow to this filter. but we'll do double plow over there, and we'll say receiver, and this will say, listen, once we detect some coarse dirt, we will give it again 2 seconds, and after 2 seconds we will start the plows. They will move forward, but this one after 4 seconds will retract. The reason for this being, drills take a little bit longer to harvest than plows to run over the block. So that is this system, and this one's also set on the drills, which is after 20 seconds the deployers will trigger, they will place the dirt, and once they're done, where's the zoom? I can't, what, yeah, it's 4 seconds. Once the 4 seconds has passed, it will retract. So we're going to test the system, but what I did is I removed that little block, because the reason being, the first time it's going to run with nothing, and I'm scared of those deployers. So let's click it once. It should go, and it should stop in the center over here, and we're just going to trigger it manually again. And while that runs, what we can do is we can do this, and we can add glue to that, and now the whole system should kick in, and it should be automatic. So we see some things firing over here. Oh, it's not going to fire. I'm an idiot. We need to place a block of dirt on top of that just to trigger it once. Do I have dirt on me? We don't. Okay, but what we can do is we can trigger it manually. Can we? Yeah, by placing this block, by pushing this one. I remember. That's a reset button. Okay, but it's still not going to work. Okay, let me grab a block of dirt real quick. So once it stops in this position, it's supposed to have a little dirt block. I do think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change this to less at the moment, 5 seconds, and we can just manually test it. But if we place that down there now, that should trigger the drills. The drills should drill. Oh, that was close. Okay, so I don't know if it's going to be enough on whatever we set it now, because remember, it takes slow when it goes through blocks. But anyway, let's see. Once it stops on this side, this will trigger. Why did it only trigger, or why did it only place that amount? Okay, I need to troubleshoot this real quick, because something's not working right. So I figured out the problem. The problematic block was the smart observer. It was right against this redstone, so as soon as it detected a block of coarse dirt, not only did it send this signal, but it also powered this signal, which in turn reversed this whole system and just made it break. So now if we were to come on over here, I just want to switch this back to 4 seconds just for testing purpose. But if we place this block over here, it should get detected. This should harvest, and for now it's nearly going to break those. But now all of this should trigger, and all of this should return. It comes back real fast. The deployer should place the blocks. The observer triggers this little clock, which fires and gives it 9 seconds or 8 seconds, which will in turn stop right here. Perfect. Which triggers that little contraption, which triggers the plows, turning all of this into dirt. And once that time is done, it's going to trigger another clock over here, which will send us on to the last spot, which, because we slowed it down, might not work as efficient, because this should be maybe on 6. Why did the dirt not get plowed? Okay, so everything's working, but the dirt did not get plowed, which is a little bit concerning. Okay, let's just put this back to 5. And let's hop on into free cam and just see why the dirt's not plowing. Because it's placing. It moves along. That's weird. Why is it not plowing? And because it's not plowing, it's not harvesting. Huh. This contraption has been a pain, but okay, I figured it out, and for some reason, if we look at this, I had to unclaim this chunk, and it's got something to do with plow grieving setting. So that's a setting I'll have to modify. And basically that explains why this didn't work in my first create world either. But anyway, we can test it now. So if we were to just rip out these two and we just plonk a piece of normal dirt in there, this should start drilling. I put it on 5 seconds, so it might not drill everything, but it's fine. It's just a testing world or testing run. And then let's quickly run over here and just plonk all the coarse dirt in here. So now what should happen is it should trigger. We have the blocks being placed, and let's just do this. That will return. It'll move on over to this side. That should trigger. And there it plows. Now it's working. Okay, so it plowed all the blocks. And in this, if we turn this back down to, I do believe the right amount is, let's leave it on 6. Let's just see what 6 does. But now this should trigger as well. There we go, harvesting all the dirt. Okay, so it needs to be 7 to ensure it gets that last block, which is not a problem. So we can turn this to 7, and it's working. It's actually working. There it goes. Places again. Okay, perfect. So this is working. I'm going to let it run one more time, and then I'm first going to pause the whole system, and then we can look at quickly getting all the trims in the storage so we can have all of this circulate. So when I bring you back, we should have an infinite loop of materials being generated and getting put into the system. Okay, so I paused the contraption while I connected up all the drawer trims and all of those type of things, and it's not complete, but it is connected. And what I mean by that is, so now currently we will have coarse dirt getting placed, and it will get it from this barrel, and we have the input or the start of a system that will put coarse dirt into this barrel. Then what will happen is this whole contraption will run and will run all the way, and once it harvests the dirt that's been converted, the dirt will then go into a backpack, which we'll still add with magnet. It'll get it picked up. It'll put it on this conveyor belt. And then the dirt will first go into the system and fill up this drawer. Once this drawer is done, then it will go to the system that I apparently clearly didn't connect. So, oops. But over here, we'll have another drawer and another funnel, and it will also have dirt. So firstly, we will feed back into the generation of the dirt and the coarse dirt and everything, and once all of that is filled up, only then will we then start to output the extra items into a storage, which is currently temporarily set up over here. So that is it for the system, but sadly I do not have time to build anything around it because it took way longer to build this, plan this, and design this on camera than I thought. And I need to know from you guys, do you like seeing a process like this where I make a bunch of mistakes, where I try and figure it out and stuff like that? So let me know that in the comments as well. So let me know about the shaders, and also let me know about the whole me building things like this. Do you like it, or do you prefer the old style of videos? But yeah, that's going to be it. So I'm going to let this run a few times, and just before I see it's out of stock, I will manually craft a bunch of dirt. And then I think the next episode we're going to do is just mainly a build. Mainly a little build, big build a building around this. Add maybe the creation of coarse dirt system as well. And then do a little storage room or whatever for all of this materials. But this is it. This is the big build. So I'm pretty happy with the way it came out. We need to just turn it on, and it's kind of difficult to navigate, but temporarily I did a little normal manual, just old school lever. So once we've got everything in place, I will link that up to a system where we can trigger it as well. But like now we know it's not going to trigger because we don't have any items. So the way we're going to do that is do a little dirt block, and I think that should work. Yeah, this... What did I do now? This is just a little too fast. Is it going to break it now? Broke it. Yeah, that's typical. On camera, the very last thing we do, we break the system. But yeah, okay, I'm gonna fix that, and then I'll be back to say bye. Ah, shaders back on. I just love it. I just love the shaders and the mood it gives off. I don't know, but still, again, let me know down in the comments. But it's been a long episode. Just me building this thing, figuring out what's going on and how things work has taken so long and left us without any shell around this building. But I have to admit, I love to see it move in the background, and I do believe this batch of dirt coming over now will be the last batch. We've run out of coarse dirt, which is fine. So in the next episode, like mentioned, we'll build a little building around this thing and also fully automate it by adding a little coarse dirt factory in there as well. The process of getting gravel all the way from down there up to here will still be manual, but I do have something planned for that real soon. But again, thank you for being here, thank you for popping in, and if you haven't done so yet, do remember to like and subscribe, and let me know down in the comments, what do you think of this little unique take on a dirt farm? I know it's not the most effective or productive, but it moves, and I like it when it moves, because when it moves, it grooves. Anyway, till next time, take care, bye for now.